Hey guys, good evening, good evening.
Yeah, how's everyone doing out there?
It is your weekly Facebook Live updates, and I'm Radlin Mendoza, and this is my husband and law partner, John Gardner. For those of you guys who join us weekly, y'all know who we are. For those of us who are just joining for the very first time, welcome. Today we're going to go over some immigration updates and most importantly, answer your questions today.
That's right. We do this every Sunday at 8 o'clock.
Yes. And we have we're going to have a very fun time with our TikTok followers because we have them going live simultaneously. Guys, we are going to kind of focus on the questions from the live stream. So for those on TikTok, if you have a question, go ahead and write them in. But if you really want to make sure that your question gets answered, make sure you go to our Facebook page. It's at Gardner Mendoza Law, and you can type it in there, and we'd be happy to answer it. But for now, we're going to just hang out and answer questions and give immigration updates as we do every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So we come here, we give USCIS updates, we give any criminal traffic law updates, anything going on in the Commonwealth of Virginia that's important involving COVID. And like Radlin just said, most importantly, we want to answer your questions. So make sure you put them in the comments and we will answer them. I will warn you, what we do here is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not technically legal advice. All righty.
Yep, it is. I'm going to just add on to that, what we do on Facebook Live in our live stream, which is also live streaming to YouTube and Twitter. And now we've got TikTok Live. It's really a starting point. I mean, we started this live stream about over a year ago, and in February of 2020, and we continued it because there were so many updates happening with COVID. Now we had a bunch of updates with the immigration reform. Those kind of trickled down a little bit, but we want to just keep keeping you informed as to what's happening every week. But most importantly, as John said, we want to answer your questions and get the questions answered. So we're gonna be looking to that as well. So hopefully we're not getting too distracted by all the stuff that's going on.
No, this is a starting point for information. If you have questions, you can come here every Sunday at 8 o'clock. You can put your immigration or legal question in the comments, and we'll bounce it around and get an answer to you on it. But as Radlin said, it's a starting point. When you want real legal advice that you can count on and depend on as legal advice, then you'll want to start, obviously, with an attorney, an immigration lawyer. We would love to help you if that's the case. But if for whatever reason you don't want to work with us, you still should have some immigration attorney helping you. You should, I know a lot of people self-file, but we really encourage you to have professional help so that you get everything right the first time.
Right, absolutely. There's a lot of information out there, and we just, again, great point. This is a good starting point. I have to tell a great story because one of our Facebook Live family peeps that used to come on, and he still does once in a while. But during the pandemic, he was, he did his wife's green card case, and Harsha would ask questions like, "What's going on with biometrics now? What's going on? Why is it taking so long? What if the officer doesn't? What if the officer never asked for any documents and she didn't look at any of your marriage documents? What does that mean?" And so he was coming on, and it was cool because we were all just kind of like a family, like a supportive family for Harshan and his wife, because he was really, really concerned about his immigration case. And we just kind of came on every week, like, don't worry, again, if worse comes to worse, we can reach out to the immigration office. He's not our client. Right. He was just joining our Facebook Live, and he actually referred us a couple of clients, even better. And I saw him on our Sunrise, and I said, "Hey, what's going on with your wife's case?" He's like, "It got approved. Thank you so much. I want to come by and thank you personally." And we really were just here every week and just giving COVID updates, and that's what we're going to continue to do. with regard to immigration updates. But it was cool because, like I said, Harshan was not a client of ours. He just came onto our Facebook Live week after week during a really trying time for him and his wife and for all the people who had filed. So anyhow, Harshan, congratulations. Shout out to you and your wife. I'm sure you are absolutely relieved that it's fantastic. Over and done with, something that probably would have happened much faster had it not been for COVID-19.
Yeah, and I want to say hi. My mom is on here, I see. Hi, Mama. She's definitely one of our biggest fans. Definitely one of my all-time biggest fans. Probably my biggest fan.
Biggest fan, right? For sure. Even absolutely. I mean, she's a fan of me too, but definitely.
You can always count on your mother to be your biggest fan, right?
Right. Thanks, absolutely. Mama. Absolutely. Yes. She does join in every week. Thank you for joining us. All right. So have we covered everything that we wanted to cover? And it was a really long intro. And I'm seeing if there are any questions here. I don't see any questions on the TikTok.
Well, while we wait for some questions to get loaded, the other thing that we do every week is we like to bring an inspirational immigration story to share with the community, and Radlin is gonna do that tonight. Yeah.
So our inspirational immigration story. So it is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month this month, the month of May. And last week, and we were here. We were not here on Sunday, but we made up for it. We were here on Monday for lunch. But last weekend we went to Falls Church, Virginia, and Sammy was asked by Trisha Orpilia to play in. It was very cool. A lot of musicians came, and they were on this professional stage, and so it was a live recording of something that's going to come out on May 30th. And it's to raise money for Phil-Am Friendship Day. But Trisha Orpilia is very, very, very meshed in with the Philippine Cultural Center. She just teaches these children dances, and just the culture is just so important to her. And she is our inspirational person of the week, immigrant of the week. And I'm going to read off a couple of things that she's done. She's the chairperson for Phil-Am Friendship Day. And of course, you guys know that I'm Filipino. So of course, this is near and dear to my heart. And John's too. John's part Filipino now as well.
That's right. It's a common.
He wears flip-flops in the wintertime.
Common law Filipino. Kind of like a common law marriage.
That's right. That's right. So she is the president for Asian Pacific Heritage Organization of Hampton Roads. She's the co-chair for PhilFest USA, and that's a big party and a big celebration and big festival for Filipinos in Virginia Beach. And actually it's been in different locations in the past, but it's huge. It's awesome. And it just so many people come together to celebrate the Filipino community and culture. Vice chair for the Pacific Islanders of Virginia, board of directors of QFOT, which is the Council of United Filipino Organizations of Tidewater, Mini Shock DC. This guy kind of goes on and on and on. But what I love about Trisha is just she's always encouraging the youth, and she's always asking Sammy to do stuff, to play at PhilFest, to play at all these different areas where Sammy can get exposure, and not just Sammy, but our daughter, but all of the young Filipinos who are musicians and dancers and artists. So hats off to you. Yeah. You're doing a lot more than I have ever done. Mm-hmm. But I just want to just commend you for all the work that you've done. And we're going to put up her link for tickets for this live performance of dancers and singers. And it was really, really cool to watch them all on the big stage performing. So the tickets are $10, and they are, all in to support Phil-Am Friendship Day. So hopefully you guys click on that link and buy $10.
Yeah, spread the word. I mean, there are thousands of Filipinos in this area alone.
Yeah, so. And you don't even have to be from the Hampton Roads area to watch.
It's $10. Come on.
It's $10, right? We have some questions up there. I can't read them.
Well, I can tell you.
Are you going to be able to read them?
I can read one of them if you want to get to a
Is it one that I can answer? Okay, so guys, here's the thing. We're going to answer questions. John's going to give a TPS update for Haiti.
Update, yep.
And but we're here to answer your questions. That's what we love doing. We can't always answer all the questions as far as sometimes I don't know the answer. I don't know everything. John doesn't know everything. I wish that I did. It would be so cool if I did, but we don't. But please put your questions.
We had one question on Facebook Live coming in already, and then there's one up here. And the question that's coming from TikTok is whether it's possible to self-file a petition before processing a divorce when you only have a 2-year green card.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a really good question. That's good. So,
and sorry, folks, we can't. The Facebook Live questions, we'll put them in the bottom so you can read them as well. The TikTok Live questions, I'm just gonna have to read them. And
John's eyes are really good. I cannot see that tiny little. Anyway, so the question, if I believe. And correct me if I'm wrong, because you're closer to that screen than I am. The question is, a person has a 2-year green card, a 2-year conditional resident green card, and they are getting ready to get a divorce through their petitioning spouse. Is it okay to file the I-751? Is that the question?
Yes, I think that is the question. It's not as clear as that, but yes, I think that is the question.
Now, guys, this is a whole big explanation. And and the short answer is, well, let me just go with the rule. Okay, let me go with the rule. So if you are filing your I-751 petition, all right, there are a couple of options that you have. Number one, you are still together and living together with your U.S. citizen spouse who petitioned for you, and you're filing it together. Spouse is signing the I-751 petition with you. That's one option. The other option, and this is what I'm going to, and there are a couple of other options dealing with abuse and cruelty. I'm not going to touch on that. The other option is if you are divorced. Okay, that happens 50% of the time. Sad statistic, but it's still like right around 50% in the United States. But 50% of the couples who get married in the United States will end up divorced. That is a really sad statistic, and I'm not trying to make anyone sad today. It's just reality. John and I are still together. We're hanging in there.
That's
just
right.
high five for hanging in for what, 22 years?
Yeah, 22 so far.
Is it going to be 23 this October?
It'll be 23 in October.
I digress.
That's awesome.
So, if you're divorced, then you can also file the I-751 petition. Okay, and when you're divorced, the rule is you can file that I-751 petition at any point in time. And when I say any point in time, I really mean any point in time. The longest that we ever filed, just the latest, I should say, we filed the I-751 petition, and they had been divorced for 20 years, and we filed it 20 years after we were supposed to file the I-751, and it was approved because that's the rule. You can file it at any point in time. So this question is kind of a gray area, and the gray area is I'm separated, and we're cruising towards divorce. What do I do? Do I file my 751? I mean, my green card's about to expire. What do I do? My green card is tied to my driver's license. It's a mess. It's a mess. So what we tell the people who contact us with this scenario, and again, this is not legal advice. It cannot be legal advice because we need to know, we need to know the facts. We need to know what the situation is with each individual case. So this is just general information. My clients, our clients, they do not like when their green card lapses, when their driver's license expires. Who likes that? Nobody likes that. And they don't have any documentation to show that they are a lawful permanent resident of the United States. But that's exactly what's going to happen if you don't file the I-751. So in some cases, and I'm not saying that's going to be the case here with this particular question, we advise to just go ahead and file it with a separation agreement, put a big asterisk, and say, hey, separated, getting a divorce. What's that going to do? It is going to get through. You're going to get your receipt. The receipt is also an extension of your lawful permanent resident card. But here's the caveat with that is they can actually, don't think I've seen this happen, but they can actually, though, deny it and say, hey, you weren't actually divorced, even though you checked the divorce box. So there is a risk there. There is a risk of losing that money, having to refile that. But if you're very, very nervous about not having any documentation, which all of our clients are, that is one way to do that. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah. Okay, we have another question here.
Do you want to do a, yes, I'll pull this up because this is a good question. This is my cousin from Canada, Roy. What's going on? He's joining our Facebook Live. I mean, every week, this guy, love him.
Yes.
We may need your help too.
Yes. That's for something else.
We'll take that
have
question.
Our people contact your people.
All right. So is Lisa allowed to own a gun since she is a permanent resident? This is a good question. Do I know the answer to this? I don't know the answer to this question. I don't know the answer
to this question.
I don't know the answer to this question.
We're going to find out the answer to this question.
Let's take it off the board since we don't know the answer to the question. So I know that when you complete, I've seen, like, when you complete a concealed weapons, I don't know.
You know what?
I don't know the answer to this question.
Yep.
Stop.
Roy, you have stumped us tonight. You're the winner of the Olive Garden gift certificate. That's always my joke.
I don't know the answer to the question.
That's always my joke when we get stumped.
I mean, why wouldn't a lawful permanent resident be able to? I will say, and John and I both say this, handguns and lawful permanent residency and discharging firearms and stuff, those don't really go together. If something awry happens, they don't go together. I'm not saying that she can't own one, but I am saying discharging a firearm, a lawful permanent resident discharging a firearm can be a problem. I mean, I'm not saying it could be, okay, I don't know the answer to the question. I'm just going to stop.
We're going to find out the answer, but
stop talking.
But since the firearms have come up, I'm going to jump in here as well. And just, this is a public service announcement to anybody listening. If you are not a U.S. citizen, Radlin is right. Guns are dangerous. Guns, this is outside any debate about whether guns are great or guns are terrible or whatever. This is not a gun debate. But for a non-U.S. citizen, they're risky because there are all kinds of firearms charges. And if you get convicted of any of these firearms charges, then you have a real problem with your immigration status. Okay. So as I say about marijuana all the time, if owning a firearm and using firearms and being part of a gun community, any of those things, if that's something that is important to you, become a citizen first, and then, go to town with the gun stuff. But if you're not a U.S. citizen, even if it turns out, Roy, that you can have a firearm, and we'll find out the answer for you, be super, super careful, because one, incident that was a minor situation, perhaps, that ended up involving a gun. I mean, it's harsh. The firearm stuff is one of the harshest areas in immigration law. All right, there's zero tolerance for anything that goes wrong with that firearm.
Right.
All right.
So Lisa is allowed to apply for U.S. citizenship. That's how I'm going to answer that question. How about that?
All right.
He's just loving. He's like, do I need to get the NRA involved? I think they went bankrupt, so you better hurry. All right. I'm going to hide this question. I'm going to take it down.
Yeah, we do.
Hello, Kenneth. Kenneth from Texas. Great to see you.
Thanks for joining us. And we have another TikTok live question that is pretty broad. So it's going to be a tough question to answer. But
I wish I could read the question, because if I couldn't answer the question, I just wouldn't read it.
Right.
Just kidding.
This is a really broad one. So we can give you a very, very general answer to a very general question. That is, my employer just started my green card processing. How long does it take for me to finally get the green card? And there's a clarification below it that says I'm a lab scientist, and I guess it will be under EB2 ? All right.
Lab scientist, EB2, yes, most likely. Great question. So who asked that question? Can you see?
That is from Waffy Roo.
Okay, Waffy Roo.
Thank you, Waffy Roo, for the question.
Yes, thank you for the question, and welcome to our TikTok followers, and welcome to Facebook fam and all the live stream peeps out there. It depends on what country you're from. Throw your country up, and I'll look it up while John is going over some TPS stuff. Waffy, you put your country, and I'll check your priority date. Actually, your country as well as what's your priority? Like, when was it filed?
Right. We'll come
When
back
was
to
your
you.
perm application filed? If you don't have that information, just shoot me a DM and I'll.
Philippines is the answer.
Okay. This is good. This is good. Philippines is current right now. Philippines is current for EB2. I'm pretty sure about that, but I'll double check that. Awesome. Yay. Yeah. That's going to be, we're going to slide you right in. So the question I have for Weffy is, did your employer file the green card application concurrently with that? Probably he did, or they did. Sorry.
Yeah. And thanks for the clarification. The original question seems super broad. Just my employer has filed something, when will it be? But when you added the extra information, that helps quite a bit.
Right. And we need to know priority date. So DM that information to me if you don't want to put your priority date in the TikTok comments.
Right. We understand.
All right. Let's
so
see
one
here.
immigration update that I had for everyone tonight, you may have heard the Biden administration did announce that effective now that TPS, temporary protected status, will be extended for Haiti. TPS for Haitians was set to expire and not be renewed. They announced that it will be extended for another 18 months. And I think I saw that there are roughly 54,000 Haitians in the United States with TPS. So that is not going to be canceled. That is going to be renewed for another 18 months. Additionally, they announced that because of the conditions in Haiti right now, that new TPS will be extended for Haitians that can show that they arrived in the United States by May 21st. So if you're from Haiti and you were in the U.S. By May 21st, you will now be eligible to apply for TPS. And I think that number was more like 150,000 people that would fall into that category. So if you're from Haiti, this is good news, obviously, and you should act on it immediately. All
Absolutely. Right. You want to preserve that. A lot of times we have questions of, okay, what if I'm in this status or that status? Or I'm going to say that it's not going to hurt to file for TPS necessarily. I mean, again, going back to our original discussion at the beginning, you should definitely, if you're in a different status and you're thinking about applying for TPS, you should definitely reach out to an immigration attorney. It doesn't have to be us. It would be awesome if it were us, but it doesn't have to be. We just want you guys, this is the springboard for information. Take this information. We've got Kenneth San Agustin. He's the one that asked the 751 question. We answered. He's in Texas. Sometimes people feel more comfortable dealing with someone in their local jurisdiction, in their area code. With an immigration attorney, it's not necessary because we can practice in all 50 states and all over the world, but that's your comfort level. Go see someone, even if it's just to get just an evaluation of your immigration case. When you say you've applied for asylum and you want to apply for TPS, or you're on an F1 student visa and you want to apply for TPS, you can go talk to somebody to see, what the best option is. And go talk to an immigration attorney. There are a lot of great immigration attorneys out there, and, do your research about them. Okay. So you got to work with someone that you know and like, because you're going to be with them for a while, the way immigration processing times are. But please, I mean, if anything from what we talk about, what John and I have talked about for, over 52 weeks, is it's important to get, get the right advice with regard to your immigration case. And like I said, we don't have to be the ones. We just want to spread the news out there that it's okay to spend a couple of $100 on an immigration consultation, so you could potentially save thousands of dollars later, as well as time.
Yeah, the stakes are really high in these cases. And again, if it's not us, find somebody. Okay, it's really worth it to do that. All right. Okay, so we have another question that has come in here, and it came in bits and pieces, and so I'll just sort of paraphrase it. The question is, U.S. born citizen, fiance is in Cambodia. She is Cambodian, and he has not been to Cambodia in over 2 years.
Okay.
And was supposed to go, but then couldn't go because of COVID. And the question is, what can he do now? What's the situation? How does he get his fiance here from Cambodia, even though he hasn't been there in more than 2 years?
That's tough. And I'm sorry you're going through that. It's been over 2 years. In order to to process the fiance visa, in order to file that fiance visa and have that fiance visa approved, this person already knows that they have to have seen their fiance within the past 2 years of filing. And so there's really no way around that requirement. Some people say, okay, well, can they come here on another status? It's going to be very difficult for someone from Cambodia to get. It's not impossible, but it's difficult for someone to get a tourist visa typically. And there's just no way around that requirement. Some of our clients are meeting in a third country where the COVID restrictions are not that that tough, and so they're able to meet in a third country, see each other, fulfill the 2-year requirement, and file that fiance visa. The other option, of course, is to get married somewhere. If you can't get to Cambodia, again, in a third country, there are timing issues with both the fiance visa and the immigrant spouse visa. I'm sorry, I don't have I wish I had a better answer for you, but you have to fulfill that requirement. It's tough to get a different type of visa to come to the United States to meet that requirement. And the reason is because if you apply for a tourist visa and you say, oh yeah, I'm going to go and see my US citizen fiance, you'll be like, we're not going to give you that tourist visa, because you can do adjustment of status. And so it's improper to come to the United States to get married and do adjustment of status. People do it all the time, but when you're applying for that visa, that's something that they look at, the intent, the person's intent. And so they don't believe you when you say, oh, I'm going to just go to the United States for 6 months and I'm coming right back. No, they think that you're going to go to the United States, get married, file your adjustment of status. And again, that's okay to do, but you just can't have that intent to do that. So great question. And for those of you who are interested in the fiance visa, I am doing a free webinar on May 27th, this Thursday I believe it's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's been on our Facebook page. It's in my Beacons link on TikTok. So join the fiance visa webinar if you're interested in the fiance visa process. I'm going to go over all the steps and fees, processing times, all of it. So if y'all are interested in that, check it out on Facebook.
Yeah, that'll be cool. All right. I don't want to bombard you. I don't know can you take another question, or do you need
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. We got another one here.
Bring the questions. That's what we're here for.
If the spouse of a citizen is present in the United States and still has the visa, do they still file an I-130?
Sorry, can you read that again? I actually blanked out for a second.
Yeah,
I was thinking about am I thirsty or am I hungry?
If the spouse of a U.S. citizen is present in the United States and still has the visa, do they still file an I-130?
Are there anything else with that question?
Nope, that's all.
So I'm not sure exactly what the person is asking, if the spouse is here. So if they're here on a tourist visa.
Yeah, that was a question I had too. The visa.
The visa.
What visa?
Is it the immigrant visa or
Right.
No, it's not the immigrant visa. He wouldn't be here if it were the immigrant visa, because that's the green card. So I need a little bit more information.
Student
on that.
visa is the follow-up.
Student visa. Gotcha. And spouse is a U.S. citizen or?
Correct.
Gotcha. So that process, my favorite, our very favorite, is the adjustment of status. So you would go through the adjustment of status. I do have a 1-minute video about the adjustment of status process and all the forms. And I'm going to do another one just because, I don't know, my text was kind of all over the place with that one. But yes, F1 student visa, marries a U.S. citizen. That couple will go through the adjustment of status process, and that starts with the I-130, but it's concurrently filed with the green card application, the 45, the I-130A, the 765, the I-131, the 864. It's filed concurrently with all that, including the medical. The beneficiary, the student, does not have to leave the United States, even if that status expires. But again, for the person who asked that question, just make sure that you are aware of the timing issues, travel outside of the country. All of these different things play into how we advise our clients. do you have to go back to your country for any reason? If you have to go back to your country within a certain time, then, it takes a really long time to get the advanced parole. Advanced parole is taking 6 months. Is that going to work for you? But if you leave the United States on your F1 and you're married to a U.S. citizen, you try to come back on your F1, we have a dual intent issue here. So there's a lot going on here, which, again, we have to kind of unpack in order to properly advise. But generally speaking, a person who marries a U.S. citizen while they are on a student visa can adjust their status to that of a lawful permanent resident without having to go back to their country by filing the I-130 and all these other things, and they have to be filed concurrently. So great question.
Mm-hmm.
It's our top thing that we do at our law firm.
Right.
And we love it because it's funny, we have divorce attorneys next door to us or in our building. So our good friends, and we own the building with Paige and Letty, they do divorce. And we always get to see couples at the very beginning of the relationship. Mm-hmm. They've got all their love letters, their photos, their album, it's very sweet. And they're always kind of like doing the divorce part. So
right.
We definitely have the better.
And the
better
final follow-up piece of this question was, what can she or he continue to be a student and study while this is processing, while this is pending?
Yeah, they can. Yes, until the status changes.
Yep. Okay.
They can remain on the F1.
All right. And he said, thank you for the response. You're very welcome.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah. And one of the questions that came in, and I'll go ahead and field this one, asked, do you need to hire an immigration lawyer for all of this stuff, or can a paralegal just do the same thing, presumably for less? No, a paralegal cannot do it. You can self-file. That's one of your options, and a lot of people do that. We don't recommend it, but obviously we understand why people do it. Or you can have an attorney assist you with it. A paralegal is a person whose function is to assist lawyers in the legal work that they do. For a paralegal to just file it for you, essentially, and do it for you and charge you to do that would be engaging in what's called the unauthorized practice of law, which is illegal. Okay, so no, you can't hire a paralegal to do it. Now, if you have a friend who just wants to assist you with self-filing, that's a different situation. But no, you can't hire a paralegal to do it. All
right. It's a very fine line, and people have been, criminal charges have been brought against people who have engaged in the unauthorized practice of law. And so someone can prepare. I mean, as John said, someone can prepare your form for you. No problem. Like sometimes a son or daughter will help a parent with their naturalization application. That's fine. They can sign as a preparer. But as John said, for a paralegal to say, hey, I will do all these forms for you and charge you X amount, or a notario, you'd have to be really careful. So we have our degrees to lose, and no one else has anything else to lose.
Right.
And that's what I always say. And
we have a lot of skin in the game.
We do.
Along
we
with
do.
You, right?
That's what I always say to people, because, even in our area here, the notarios, when I find out how much they charge more than we do. And, so you just have to be really careful. That's a good question. And
and some of the things that drive, and I don't want to get too far off here, but some of the things that drive people to notarios, I think, are to kind of feeling like, okay, well, I've been kind of underground and off the radar for a while. I'm going to just sort of keep it that way. And that's just totally unnecessary. I mean, there's attorney-client confidentiality. You have nothing to fear going to see an attorney to do it properly and have it done correctly. And you can share every last detail with your attorney. And that information is not going anywhere except with that attorney. It'll die with that attorney. All right.
Right. It's confidential. And even if I see someone at a party or at a restaurant, and, they come up and talk to me, and a friend says, oh, who was that? It's like, oh, it's just a friend. Because I can't even reveal who my clients are.
Exactly.
So anyhow, What other questions do we have tonight?
Okay, well, there's a lot of stuff flowing from that original question about the F1 visa. So if the person's on the student visa and now they're going to get married and adjust their status, you said they can continue. Does the F1 visa expire once they've filed the adjustment of status form? That's the question that has come up now.
Yeah. So the person, the beneficiary, is going to be on, they're going to be an adjustment of status applicant. That's not really a status, but it kind of is, in the sense that if that person stopped going to school, then they would be okay, because they have already filed their adjustment of status application. And so with regard to the student visa status, that's not going to change unless they want it to. I mean, at some point in time, the person is going to get their green card and they're no longer going to be in F1 status, but it doesn't matter, because they're going to be able to study not as an F1 and hopefully pay a lot less tuition. So that status does not have to end at the time of filing the green card application. Again, I would just be really careful with travel, because traveling outside of the country, that would be my warning there. But no, the status does not have to end.
Okay.
That's Thank me you, just answering the question the same way 4 times.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, how about this question? You can answer this as many times as you'd like. Got it. We have a question about the general time. So let's say I do want to become a U.S. citizen and I'm eligible. I'm at the place where I'm eligible to do that. Approximately how long will that process take from the time I go sit down with the lawyer and say, hey, I want to become a citizen, to the time that I go to my oath ceremony?
Well, it depends on where that person is living. So our cases get processed really quickly here. And well, I mean, call me in 4 months. I'll let you know if it's really quickly. But I mean, usually we're looking at 6 months or so to process a naturalization case here in the jurisdiction of our Norfolk Immigration Office. That's Norfolk, Virginia. And a lot of people come to Norfolk, not just people in the Hampton Roads area, but Richmond, all the way from Blacksburg. So it just depends on where you are. Now, I have a case filed in, I can't remember where in California. Maybe it's San Diego.
This person just added California is where they are.
Right. So San Diego, LA, just depending on, are we talking about filing now? I mean, I would have to look at processing times, and I'm going to do a video about how to look up your own processing times, because it's super, super easy. Basically, you go to uscis.gov, or you can even just Google USCIS processing times. It'll take you right to the link. Just make sure that you're on uscis.gov, and you put in your you put in the application that you're interested in knowing the processing times for. That in this case, it's going to be the N400, of course, and then the field office. And so maybe it's San Diego. You put in San Diego, and it will pop up the processing times. Now, a little worried about processing times. Please be, don't fall out of your chair when you see the processing times. Processing times are really big range. And when some people see processing times, they sometimes just stop right in their tracks, and they're like, I'm not doing this. Okay. Don't be that person to look at, I try to look it up, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to look it up because there are a lot of questions, but Don't be that person to look at processing like, oh my God, 28 months. I'm not even going to start this because it's probably not going to be 28 months. Okay. There's a range. And they take into account the cases that are stuck and problematic and have issues. So that's going to be on the very long end of the range. So don't be discouraged by processing times. As we've always said, what have we always said for all this time since we've been with Facebook Live is,
get in the line.
Get in the line. Yeah.
Get in the line. The first in is the first out. They process them in the order that they're received. And so you want to get in the line. I always tell people, think of it like being at the deli counter at the grocery store, and you got to get a number.
Yeah.
If you if you spend your whole day in the store shopping around and then go get the number and they tell you it's going to be 45 minutes, you got to wait another 45 minutes and you'll be wishing that you just grabbed that number right when you came into the store. All right.
Yeah.
So just the sooner you get in the line, the sooner you get out.
Yeah.
Right?
And again, with the N400, even if it's 2 years, it's not that huge of a deal. But I mean, some of these cases where you're filing a petition for a sibling, say in Mexico or the Philippines, you're looking at 19, 22, 23 years for when that sibling is going to get here.
Right.
And that's discouraging because you're just like, why even bother to do this? But that's not the question. The question is not why even bother to do this. The question is, okay, let's say my brother is 30 years old. Is he going to want to still be here in the United States if this is his only option to immigrate to the United States when he's 50? That's the question. And usually the answer is yes. I did a video and I just love this video. It's one of my favorite ones that I did only because of the comments, because some people were like, why even bother? I waited blah, blah, so many years and I just gave up. But then there were several comments where they said, my mom and dad waited 23 years. I'm really glad they did. I immigrated with them, and so many people like, I waited 20 years. I waited 22 years. So it kind of validated guys, just get it filed. We're all going to be here in 20 years. Okay. Yeah. I'm still going to be here in 20 years. Willing. God willing. That's right. Mm-hmm. So just get it filed. I mean, I know again, in my comment, I'm like, when I was 29, I never thought 20 years would pass and I'd be 49, but actually here I am, 49 years old.
Exactly.
So the time does go, life happens, and your family's still going to want to immigrate to the United States and be with you. And, it's about 15 years for other countries that are not Philippines and Mexico, which are really long.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we have another question.
Wait. Hold on a second. I gotta ask.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pull this one up. Oh, well, thank you. Miss Evelina says, I look gorgeous. Love the top. So I was wondering about the top. I was wondering about the shirt.
I told you.
Because I was gonna throw a lawyer jacket on it, and my husband was like, no, don't put the jacket on. He's so sweet.
I said the exact same thing.
Yeah. So Miss Evelina, hello, how are you? So if you don't mind writing in the comments, how long did it take for your mom's N400 to get to interview? I'm just curious. We talked about this early, but put it in the comments if you don't mind. All right. Let's see here. Say we have another question.
We do. It's a big question that you can walk our gang through it here. Okay.
Let's unpack this.
Let's unpack this.
Can't wait.
So basically, I'll boil it all down. I'm a U.S. citizen. My girlfriend is in the Philippines, and my goal is for us to be married and for her ultimately to be a U.S. citizen. Okay. Not just a permanent resident, but also a citizen of the United States. What's the best way? What's the advice you would give? What's the best way for us to achieve that? And how long is that going to take from the moment we decide to put this ball in motion until the day that she swears in down?
Oh my gosh!
Down the federal courthouse on.
Let me sit back
at the Walter Hoffman Courthouse on Granby Street. All right.
Okay. Before I answer that question, and such a great question about processing times, they are absolutely all over the place. So we did I'm going to put this up. I asked the question of Miss Evelina. We did Citizenship Day in February. It was actually February 20th because it was the day after my birthday. That's right. Because guys, I love my birthday. I don't know what to say. So February, March, April, May.
Yep.
4 months.
3 months.
Because she's got testing next month.
Oh, she has texting.
February, March to April, April to May, May to June. So that's 4 months. That's amazing. I think it was because of Citizenship Day. That's why. No, I'm just kidding. That's so awesome. So guys, here in the Hampton Roads area, Miss Evelina's mom's citizenship took 4 months from filing to interview. That is super fast. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Next month.
All right. So we have the person who is a U.S. citizen. they've got their girlfriend in the Philippines and wants to know the processing time from, not just getting the permanent residency, but also citizenship. So it really depends on whether whether you guys pursue the fiancé visa. And I don't know whether you've seen your girlfriend within the past 2 years of filing, but let's just let's just pick fiancé visa. let's pick fiancé.
Well, I think
visa.
that was part of the question.
Okay.
What would be the best? What's the starting point? What's the best
Yeah.
way to go about
I mean,
doing this?
again, I can't tell for it really just depends on the goal. The goal is to get the person here as fast as possible. And let me go ahead and give a real quick plug for the fiancé visa webinar. It's free, coming up on May 27th, this Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to go over processing times. I'm going to go into detail with questions like these, immigrant visa versus fiancé visa. But I'm going to just try to tackle that really, really quickly. So fiancé visa processing times right now are 5 to 7 months. Okay. So you got 5 to 7 months, and then it's a couple of months to transfer. So 2 months to transfer. So that's, let's just say 9 months. Okay. Interview scheduling. We're talking about Manila here. Are they still going to be so backlogged 9 months from now for fiancé visas? I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they won't be. Let's just say they're not. So you go to your interview, you're 10 months. You're 10 months of just processing time, the I-129F, and the NVC part, and getting the medical and the interview. And then let's just say 10 and a half months before you guys see each other, steps on US soil, you get married within 90 days, file the green card application. Green card applications, I don't know why, but green card applications for fiancé visas taking forever. I mean, they just do. They take over a year to process. Whereas if they did an adjustment, it's not available, adjustment of status, most likely, but it's just, I don't know why it takes so long, but it does. Fiancé adjustments of status can take 12 to 15 to 18 months. So we're 10 months and we're in the United States. If I'm going to say that if the most important thing with all embassies interviews being all opened up and working as per normal, the fastest way still, I believe, is to do a fiancé visa so you guys can be together, like standing in front of each other face to face as soon as possible, right? Because if you get married, you're going to factor in the time of, okay, when are you getting married? Can you travel there December? Can you go next month? Can you go next week? When are you going to get married? That's the question. And so when you factor all that in, just the face-to-face seeing each other is going to be the fiancé visa. But everything else takes so much longer with the fiancé visa. The question is it worth it? And again, I don't know what your particular facts are. We would need to get into that. But I just advised one of my old clients that we helped get citizenship. With everything, with the fiancé visa falling apart during COVID, where I don't know, she was going to go back to go see him next month. Like, guys, just get married, right? Because now you're the spouse of a U.S. citizen. If the worst case scenario happens and we have a second round of global pandemic, I don't know. So that's a really tough question just to answer like that without knowing all the details of what you guys want. We always start our consultations with, what is your goal? What's the goal? A lot of times the goal is to just be face to face. Like, you guys are madly in love with each other. You just want to be together. You want to be in the same country. But sometimes it's, we want her when she comes to the United States, and I'm just assuming, I'm just saying to her, when she comes to the United States, we want to make sure that she's able to work as soon as she gets here. Well, that's not the fiancé visa. Like, you're going to be stuck doing absolutely nothing for 6 months when you come to the United States on a fiancé visa, because the work permit takes about 6 months to arrive, if 6 months. Like, they're so backlogged right now. So that's something that we've noticed over the years, that our clients on fiancé visas, like, going absolutely bananas. They get to the United States, especially if it's a military situation and the spouse is not around, they can't do anything. It can't work. You can't do anything. So again, it depends. But let's just assume it took 18 months to get the first green card. Okay. So we're now at 28 months, right, to get the 2-year green card. So then you have to file the petition to remove the conditions on that 2-year green card. And you have to file that in the 90-day window before your green card expires. You get that. That takes another 18 months. Then you file for citizenship 3 years after you get your first green card. So whatever immigration attorney you hire, you definitely want to love them.
You'll be with them for a while.
You'll be with them for a while if you go through all the steps of the process. And it is a process for sure.
Okay.
Anyhow.
All right. One of the questions in here is not really a straight immigration question, and I'm not sure that we'll be able to answer this. I apologize in advance. But the question is, I guess my husband and I were divorced in 2005, but it was not annulled in the Philippines. Do I still have any rights for his properties? I'm assuming in the Philippines. I don't know if the properties are here or in the Philippines. I can generally answer the question if it's here. If you're talking about property that is here, then when you all were divorced, there should have been, obviously all of that property should have been divided. That should have gone through the court, and that should all be done, especially if it was back in 2005. So all that property should have been divided. Oh, she's added here, in the Philippines. As far as property in the Philippines, I really don't know.
Yeah.
You would probably need to reach out to an attorney in the Philippines who could assist you with that situation. Because anything that is legally held in the Philippines, if there's any kind of division of that property that takes place through a legal process, it's going to have to go through a court, and it would have to go through a court in the Philippines if that's where it's located. That's typically how property. So, I mean, if I have some property out in Montana and there's something that I want to do with it, I got to get somebody out in Montana to do it. They're going to have to do the deed work and file it and everything.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry that we don't have a better answer, but
yeah, definitely we'll have to go and ask a Philippine immigration. No, I'm sorry, not an immigration attorney, but an attorney in the Philippines.
Right. And she made a point that it was a divorce and not an annulment, and that may make a difference in the Philippines. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. There was another question here. Again, this is the fiance stuff that's creating a lot of interest, of course. So the question generally was, my girlfriend, can she come from Hong Kong on a tourist visa? And then while she's here, we get married, and then we can start her immigration process. What do you say to
I'm
that?
not answering that question. I'm just kidding.
I knew you'd like that.
I will answer the question. It's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just start off by saying what we always start with, that this is immigration education. This is not immigration advice, and I can't advise you.
Not legal advice, for sure.
Yeah, not legal advice. Can't advise you exactly what to do in your situation. But if a person arrives in the United States on a tourist visa from whatever country, and they get married to a U.S. citizen, then that person is eligible to go through the process that we call marriage adjustment based on marriage to U.S. citizen. And so we talked a little bit about that earlier, what that entails. That entails going through that process. That person does not have to leave. The beneficiary does not have to leave the United States. I think timing is really important here. The caveat with the plan, this type of plan, is intent. Okay. So when you enter the United States on a tourist visa, right, and you apply for, let's just say the person does not let's just say they already have the tourist visa. And so they go through the port of entry, and the CBP says, and what's the purpose of your trip? Oh, the purpose of my trip is to see a friend. Who's the friend? Friend is just somebody that just a friend. It's a girlfriend. lives in Virginia Beach, and they do a little bit of digging. Maybe they don't believe the person, and then they get in contact somehow with the is it fiance or
Girlfriend.
Okay, get in contact with the is it girlfriend, boyfriend, or?
I think the girlfriend is in Hong Kong. The plan I'm gathering is to have her get a tourist visa to come to the U.S. to tour, probably to visit Jamestown and Williamsburg, I'm assuming.
Right.
And then once she's here,
gotcha.
Shortly after finishing the Jamestown tour, getting married.
Gotcha. So yeah, the coming in on a tourist visa with the intent to get married to a U.S. citizen, that's a dual intent, and right. The B1, B2 tourist visa is not a dual intent visa. That said, there is a Board of Immigration Appeals case called Matter of Cavazos. It's very old, and essentially it says that if the only negative thing in a beneficiary's case is that they had immigrant intent, then the officer shall approve that case. So, but my concern is just what you're telling the CBP. What are you telling the person at inspection? And hopefully they don't ask you anything. If they don't ask you anything, then you're good to go. You come in and whatever happens. But I just like to, especially if it's pre-coming to the United States, I just like to say, hey, keep an open mind. You're here to maybe visit a couple of people and don't have any plans. Maybe that's what you guys want to do. Maybe it's not. So keep an open mind mm-hmm. like water. You don't have any plans. You have no plans. Right. Because you don't want anyone to get into that immigrant intent issue. And we have had clients get sent back on the same trip when the misrepresentation is revealed as to what the real purpose of that trip is. I've seen it happen probably 4 times. People have hired us over the past 20 years. And that's not a lot, but it's traumatizing, guys. Yeah. It is traumatizing to travel all the way from it doesn't matter where you're coming from. You could be coming from, Mexico, but to go through secondary inspection and then for them to call the person that you're supposed to be visiting, and that person says something different than what you're saying, and then they're like, no.
Say, oh yeah, we've been dating online and we're getting married. That's right. That's what we're going to be doing.
Not that people that's been done. So, and I'm laughing about it now, but the 4 cases that I've worked on where that has happened, it's so traumatizing. And then you have to buy that return ticket with your own money. And anyway, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen every single day. It does. But I'm just saying that you have to be really careful with that, especially with making any type of misrepresentation. Hopefully that answered the question and helped. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have. I'm sorry. Somebody says, please, if you could answer my question, Meg the horse, but I don't know what the question was. I apologize. It may have scrolled. It may have scrolled past.
Guys, Facebook fam, no questions from Facebook fam tonight. It's quiet. Y'all are letting the TikTok fam out question you.
I filed an I-130 in May of 2021 for my under 21 daughter. How long will it take to approve? It's, I guess, the Nebraska Service Center.
So this is unmarried? Unmarried 21, under 21?
It doesn't say it, but we'll assume unmarried.
As a U.S. citizen?
Just daughter. We don't know.
No, is the petitioner a U.S. citizen?
Doesn't say.
Okay. Yeah. So Nebraska, if we're talking about immigrant petitions, they're processing super fast right now. I have a video on that. I believe Nebraska is processing at 2 to 7 months for an I-130 petition for a immediate relative of a U.S. citizen. Immediate relative is going to be the spouse, unmarried child under 21, and parent of a U.S. citizen. So those are happening super fast in Nebraska. So if your I-130 petition went to Nebraska, you won the I-130 petition lottery. Congratulations. It's going to get processed fast if that's the category that we're talking about. If it's a different category, I'd have to look at the processing times. I just recently looked at the processing times for immediate relatives, so hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah. Okay, the Meg the Horse, I scrolled back through and did find back in 2014, he petitioned through an approved I-130, but then never proceeded with it. What options does he have now? I'm not sure, and there's no more to it than that.
Okay.
I apologize.
So this question, I-130 was filed for this person in 2014. We're here 7 years later. The question is, what has happened to the I-130 petition? The I-130 petition could have been terminated by the National Visa Center because of inaction. It's something that we would have to look up. I can't say exactly. Sometimes they send these letters to the beneficiary and the petitioner that, the visa is available and, you need to take action on the case. You need to pay the National Visa Center fee. So I would need to know more about the case, and if it was in a different category where the visa was not available, then it may not be a problem. But you shoot me a DM.
Mm-hmm.
That's let me know a little bit more details.
All right. Yes, they keep coming, but we're about out of time here. 5 years in the U.S. When can I apply for citizenship?
Now,
assuming that you were
as a permanent resident,
assuming you were a permanent resident for those 5 years,
you.
then you could do now.
And also that you're otherwise eligible, that you're statutorily eligible too.
Right. That you don't have a firearms conviction that you're still still on probation for. Like we talked about earlier. Meg the Horse called the Visa Center and they said that they would put it back in processing stage, but he doesn't know what that means.
That's good. That's a good thing. It means they're going to put it back in processing stage. Meg the Horse, we'd have to know what your priority date is, take a look at the visa bulletin and see where you are in that process.
Yeah. All right. Maybe one or two more here. I'm here as a tourist on a tourist visa, and significant other has a green card. Can they get married? Can a green card holder and a tourist visa holder get married?
So that's awesome. That's fantastic. The June visa bulletin is out, and that person getting married to the lawful permanent resident would fall under preference category, the 2A preference category, the spouse or unmarried child under 21 of a lawful permanent resident that is current. So yes, you could go through the adjustment of status process. Timing is everything, my friends, especially for the spouses of a lawful permanent resident. So that is my big warning to people who are here on a tourist visa and thinking about getting married to their lawful permanent resident spouse and filing for adjustment of status. Timing is very important because they are not considered to be immediate relatives and get that extra protection from a matter of cabazos.
Okay, and we'll get one more here. Brianna 2021 is asking us to please answer, but I don't ever remember seeing a question from her, so I'm looking for that. There was
I'm so glad your eyes are good.
There was a question whether or not having been a member of the Communist Party is a bar to adjusting status or becoming a U.S. citizen.
There you go. So it depends on the circumstances as to just click on this right here. Or okay. Anyway, it depends. It depends on the circumstances as to why. A lot of countries have mandatory inclusion in groups in school that are Communist Party related, and so with those circumstances, it has not been an issue for my clients when they have had those issues of being members of the Communist Party. And this is it's typically seen in older folks who are applying for U.S. citizenship. But that's a really good question because that does come up have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? That is a question on the naturalization application.
Okay, and how about, is it a bar to getting a fiancé visa? Do you know?
Member of the Communist Party?
Yep. Former member.
No,
No,
that is not one of the questions.
not a bar. Okay, and I'm sorry, we're out of time. Brianna 2021, I can't find your answer. Your question, I apologize. You asked us to please answer it, but I don't know what it was and I can't find it. So if you could direct message us your question, we'll do it later.
Yeah,
this evening.
for people who are on Facebook fam, you guys know if you ask a question in the comments, we answer. I am trying to answer the questions on TikTok. There are a lot. Love it.
Mhm.
Like answering questions in comments is just, I don't know, it's just so much fun for me.
Yeah.
because I can, when I can answer the question, I really like to answer the question and comment back. But I really appreciate all the wonderful questions and everyone's attention tonight. It's been great. We just a couple of announcements. We do have our Facebook group going on right now. So if anyone here wants to be on our Facebook group, it's a community. We mentioned Harshan before. We kind of like talked Harshan off the ledge a couple of times during COVID, and his wife's case finally got approved. Again, he was not a client of ours. He was he's Facebook fam. He's live stream fam. So anyone on TikTok who wants to join the Facebook group, there is a link in my bio, I believe, to our Facebook page, and you can just DM us group, and we'll put you in the group. So it's just additional support in that group and additional information. So just to continue to help the community. All right,
yeah,
guys.
absolutely. And I'm sorry to do this to you, but Brianna's question, she's resent it. U.S. citizen filing for my son, I-130, unmarried son. How long will it take for her case, do you think?
How old is her son?
Unmarried son, under 21.
Under 21, yeah.
I think that's what it said.
So again, it depends on where the case goes. I mean, you can go to the Texas Service Center and California Service Center, Potomac, Vermont, and Nebraska. So you wanted to go to Nebraska because the processing times, I mean, we just got one from Vermont. It took forever. The I-130 petition took forever. So again, our advice to you is to just file the I-130 petition. It may take a long time because it depends on where it goes, which processing center it goes to. So file the I-130 petition. And the awesome thing about filing as a U.S. citizen and your child is under the age of 21, they're never going to age out because the Child Status Protection Act, and that's great. So just file the I-130 petition. And for those of you guys out there, if you're a U.S. citizen, you have a child under the age of 21, and the child's 20 and a half, file that I-130 petition. It will lock their age in under 21. It's so important.
Her son is 9 years old.
Okay, we have some time to work with.
Yeah.
We've got some time to work with. Yeah. So yeah, that's awesome. Just file it. It could take a year or two, depending on the service center. All right.
Okay, I think
that is a wrap.
Yes,
that is a wrap. That's a wrap.
Sorry, folks, we're out of time. If you have any more questions, DM us and we'll try to get to them later. And remember, we do this every Sunday at 8 o'clock. So if you have questions and they didn't get answered, come back next week and you can put them in the comments. If you put them on our Facebook live feed, it's easier for us to address them because we can pull them up on the screen and look at them. The TikTok questions are coming in a lot more quickly than I originally anticipated. So I've got some homework this week. I am going to figure out a more efficient way for me to field these questions and then hand them off to Radlin to answer.
Wait, no,
Okay.
I thought you did an awesome job. What are you talking
Okay, well,
about?
I mean,
Like you can actually see the questions. That's so great.
But some people were saying to please answer their question because I hadn't seen them come through the first time around.
Right.
So we're going to get
work on that.
the
The focus is our live stream. So if you guys want to make sure that your question gets answered, please join our live stream on our Facebook group. You can also join it on YouTube or Twitter, and put the question in so we see it. These questions there's a lot because there's a lot of people coming in and dropping out, and so we're not sure.
Right.
But we try to answer the questions, guys. We really do. It's what we love to do.
And for those of you on TikTok, come back next week. I mean, you can do TikTok. It's a little more chaotic for me to field the questions and give them to Radlin. So
yes, and I started. Right. I'm going to release a video tomorrow.
All right, gang. I mean, folks.
Yes, thank you guys so much. And remember, if you are interested in the fiance visa process, join that webinar. The Zoom is in my bio there. It's in our Facebook group. It's an event. So join it. I would love to have as many people there as possible. I'm going to go ahead and do the plug for that, May 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And depending on how many people there, I'm actually launching something new. And it's going to be a monthly subscription for those who are going through the fiance visa process and want kind of like a coach to walk them through. Again, this is a long process. The fiance visa process is really lengthy. I'm not talking about just the filing of the I-129F, which it takes 5 to 7 months. There's so much more after that. That's just the very beginning, because you do want to get the fiance ultimately to the green card, to citizenship, and all that. So thank you guys so much for joining. Again, I'm Radlin, and this is my wonderful husband and law partner, John. And we are the attorneys at Gardner Mendoza. We're located in Virginia Beach, and we appreciate all of your support.
That's right. And don't forget, Haiti has extended TPS. So if you know anyone who will benefit from that, tell them to get filing immediately. All right.
All right. Two thumbs up, guys.
Two thumbs up.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you here next week. All right.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.